Hello Internet, I'm HamsterBomb.
And I'm Timothy.
You guys are back for another Pokemon collection video. And oh my goodness, this is gonna be a stressful one indeed for Kim, I'm sure, to be picking all the figures up.
Yeah, I'm really scared to handle these.
This is the unreleased second set of the Pokemon TFG, or trading figure game. We went into a lot of detail about what the trading figure game is a couple episodes back. Also, I have other videos showcasing all of these up close for more detail than we're going into now. But at the very least for now, we wanted to go through these and show you a complete set of this. And we're going to do it in two parts. You can see right now this is not the entire set, though this is half of it. And we're going to go through completing this, including the promos in the next two videos, this and the next one. So for now, just like the last set, you can see these things were alphabetized. So our first figure here, yikes, is an Armaldo. Kim is very nervous because I should mention these figures are, for one, as I mentioned, they were unreleased. They're very, very rare and very valuable, most of them. I'll explain if they're not otherwise, but assume they are. And that's why a lot of them, as you see, don't even have stickers on their bases, because some of these, just the figures were found. And basically, people, collectors like me, would take other figures from usually Next Quest, because you can get your hands on them.
Chimchars.
Yeah, Chimchars. Honestly, we're not kidding. And pop the figure off the base, peel off the sticker, which was a really hard process, and reglue a very rare Groundbreaker or someone else to give them a spinner base, so we can actually like kind of see what they would look like on those bases. And Armaldo is a very hard one to get your hands on. So unfortunately for any Armaldo fans, that one may be on the wish list for a very long time. You're probably not going to see that pop up on eBay for a long time. You're going to be friends with people on Pokemon collectors and bug people if you really want to collect these. Trust me, this was a long, laborious task for me to try and collect these for a long time. But this next one here is Blastoise. Also a really rare one, but to be honest, they have their own sub-rarities, and it's all based on how many figures made it out of the factory alive. There are a little bit more Blastoise than Armaldo, but he's still very rare. He looks really nice, though. Not all of mine are glued down, so that's why Kim's going to be really nervous going through these, and she's, like, hyper-concentrating right now.
Focusing so hard.
It's probably because she dropped, like, 3 figures in our first video. But I guess that's good. I mean, you're, nervous now. But as you saw, Blastoise has some really cool,
He
had translucent water,
he does.
metallic-looking blasters and matte paints on the rest of him. Really cool, really detailed. Now, according to the set, Bulbasaur was a common, but as I need to mention, Groundbreakers and third set, just forget about rarities. It's all based on how many figures survived the factory. And Bulbasaur, not many. As you can see, Bulbasaur does not use Ember. That's not his base. That one basically...
Oh, I see. But can he use Fury Swipes?
No.
Are you sure you can't use Ember?
This was a Chimchar base.
I see.
And Bulbasaur, I don't have a sticker base for him. Honestly, I would love to have the original art of what the stickers said so I could print them as my own stickers and stick them on.
Because nobody's seen them. Who knows?
Well, not many people. Very few people have actually seen them. So, in fact, Bulbapedia is even having issues just recording the information of what these figures did. Obviously, he didn't use Thundershock either, so just forget about what those say.
Thundershock.
But another pretty rare one is Cacnea. Honestly,
oh, he's got the larger arm thing again.
Yeah, he's doing that one side's punching bigger than the other one.
Look at that.
Yes. Cacnea, fortunately, for those of you who want to collect Cacnea stuff and you're biting your nails, want to know how rare he is, he's probably the easiest of the 4 we've seen so far to get your hands on.
Oh, yeah, so that's
he's not so bad. Like, I've seen some where he pops up for only $15 online. You can get pretty lucky finding one of those. But, of course, no base. If he's got a base, oh no, he's going way up.
This is so cool.
Oh, Cyndaquil. Now, be careful, he's probably not glued, but,
he's not, but...
Now we are getting some Johto Starters, which is pretty cool. We don't really have many other Johto starters in their lines. A couple will show up in third set, but that's it.
All of his fire is translucent. Like,
Yes, it is.
even
and
the stuff on his back.
mhm.
I mean, you don't get to see that anymore, unfortunately. They always, like, either paint it or he's not, or he doesn't have his fire on. That's what I see a lot anymore.
Yeah,
Lame.
like his main model in the games, he's not using his fire, and that's so disappointing. But yeah, this Cyndaquil used to be really rare, like one of the rarest ones of this set, and then I guess a small batch were found because some people were selling them for almost reasonable prices for these outrageous figures, and by that I mean like only $45. So, oh, yep, that's okay. You caught him. That one's not glued down either. And a much more extreme version of that story, Elekid actually used to be one of the most sought-after figures in Groundbreakers, like up there with Mewtwo. And
Mewtwo's really up there.
Mewtwo's still up there. But the Elekid, I don't know what happened, but he suddenly became one of the easiest ones to get your hands on. I've seen Elekids also go for about $15 just for a single one. So that's good news for the Elekid fans. Also, you're going really quick, but he's got like really cool transparent electricity coming off of his hand. I like the shape.
There's a lot of them to get to, and I feel like there's a lot of them in here I want to talk a little bit more about then.
I mean, he's really cool. I really like the jagged shape of the electricity that's shocking off of him. It looks really cool. But yeah, you're right. If you want to see these guys in a lot more detail and have me spend more time on them individually, I do have other videos, as I mentioned. They're going to be found on playlists on my channel. Right now, we just more wanted to show you a complete set and what each of the Pokemon look like, and we don't really want to bore you.
This Flaffy's so
we want to go quick.
Look at his little Thundershot.
Oh yeah, lucky you, Kim. Last set we had a Mareep, and this time we have a Flaffy. Unfortunately, they didn't finish the line. There's very few Pokemon with finished lines, if any. I'm trying to like think right now. I don't even think any.
He's got some really nice airbrush.
Other than singles, obviously. Yeah, that's another thing we're not really mentioning. There's really nice airbrush work on all these. Like the same quality you saw on the Next Quest figures, you're going to see here, and it's really, really nice. Now this one, for Geodude fans, rejoice. He's extremely easy to find.
For all those Geodude fans out there.
In all things, like, compared to the others, I mean, he's still probably harder to find than a rare from Next Quest. He'd probably be equal, but the thing is, he was actually released. They made starter sets with Latios, and a couple other Pokemon, like Mightyena, Eradicate, and Hariyama. And Geodude was the other one, aside from a couple trainers. So we actually got access to these. So you can see his moves down there. Those are his own. This is our first one we're seeing in a set that I actually have a proper base for him. That is his own. So that's pretty cool. Also, really cool pose for a Geodude. You know?
I know. And it's
I love
hard
like they thought to punch the ground.
You look at the rocks and you're like, oh, those don't look attached, but they are.
Yeah, they are.
Know.
There's so much action in that one.
I'm scared to touch this next one.
Be very careful with this next one. This next one, a Girafarig, is very rare. You could just take the base if you want. Now, to make you feel a little better about this Girafarig, or mine in this case, if you rotate very slowly, you can see he's actually on a different base. I believe it's a Bayleaf base. I'm not sure, but they had very similar bases. It was basically just what you see there, a little grass plain. So mine technically was repaired because it was off of its base. For whatever reason, I can't even imagine how it could have broken off of that. But
yeah, really, it's got all 4 hooves down. Like, I'm just...
And as we mentioned, I mean, it's not a really spectacular figure. I love how it's a random Pokemon, like Girafarig? But yeah, this is a crazy hard one to find sometimes. So, unfortunately for the folks out there who love themselves some Girafarig.
Who doesn't love Girafarig? He's cute.
I love how crazy rare he is. Also, the original beta design of him is funky. Now, you might notice, as I mentioned earlier, Kim can relax. She's like spinning again, like, oh, this feels good.
It's so much easier.
Hariyama, a big bulky one. As I mentioned with Geodude, he was released with the starter packs that barely made it to stores. Like, I think only Target got their shipment, and that was it. And it was over in 1 week. So there's very few that made it to stores, but at the very least we can find them with their proper stickers, and they're on their bases.
So they made it into the stores and then they recalled it. It didn't actually get out to people before it got to...
Right, it made it to the stores, and that was all. Some people did manage to buy them, but there were not many. So, Hariyama, real common one. easy to find. This next one, yeah, you might as well just take it off the base. It's really hard to keep on there. Is a super tiny little Jigglypuff.
This is as small as the Torchic one is.
Well, the Pokemon, yeah, except he doesn't have, like, a big piece of flame keeping him together. This Jigglypuff was really small. The Jigglypuff wasn't too hard to get my hands on, honestly, though I'm starting to see less and less of them on sale recently. But I'm glad that they still had the random Pokemon like that. Plus, it's cute charm. It's my
It's
rep.
your cute charm thing.
My channel rep. Even though I don't really like people who do that, have like a Pokemon that represents them.
That's just what happened, though. That was just by chance.
The fans did that to me. And of course it would be Jigglypuff, which I'm fine with. It's okay. Plus, it's just so out there. Now, this next one, I want to point out, is actually fake. But I kind of consider this part of my collection because it's a really, really well done fake and looks exactly like what the Kyoto does. It's
And you purchased it knowing it was fake.
Right,
so
I did purchase knowing that. So you can see the bottom of this one, it doesn't have the little indentation in it to show that it goes on the base. The only thing that would set this off is some bits of it you can see are a little, like the mold wasn't as perfect. It's because someone took their Kabuto, a very rare Groundbreaker figure, and decided to cast it and try and paint them and make more of them. So they kind of destroyed one in order to make more. Now, based on how they made the mold, they hopefully didn't destroy the Kabuto, but
I wouldn't expect it to. But...
Yeah, well, some of them do. It depends on how you do it, but still, I count that. It's so well done, and aside from the fact that he's so, I've still never seen a Kabuto. Anywhere. It's
So that one you're definitely not finding Kabuto fans out there.
Well, no, they probably, if they keep looking just for Kabuto, like, think about it, I was looking for everybody, so I was digging all over the place, and when it came down to Kabuto and I found a bootleg like that, or not a bootleg, but a handmade one online.
Yeah, I don't really consider it a bootleg when they're selling it as
right. It was sold to help people complete collections, and just so that any red flags don't go up. That's the only figure like that I own of all of these in these sets. So, I mean, like, ideal, I'd like to have a better... Well, technically, Linoon's kind of like that, but anyway, we can move on either way to our next one.
Yeah, but its mold sucks. I'm kidding.
Cadabras?
No, I'm talking about Linoon.
Oh,
I'm just making
what?
fun of you.
She's picking on me, because you'll hear later. You can come closer, Kim. So, Kadabra, also, we got an evolution, but we didn't get to finish it, of the Abra line. I think he's a really cool figure. He's one of the... Actually, I think he is the first Groundbreaker figure I was able to get my hands on. I got him and Flaffy at the same time. But it was Kadabra I really wanted to get. Just because he's a really cool-looking figure, I like the fact that he's not actually touching the spoon, but the figure shows that the spoon is being pushed. Do you see that? He's actually, like, mind-bending the spoon. Yeah, there you go. I think it looks pretty cool. So he's not one of the most ridiculous ones to get your hands on, but I gotta say, he's not real easy to find. Same for this next one. If this next one might even be a little rarer. Lyron, or I called him Larion for the longest time because I couldn't read his name properly. I believe... No, we have an Aeron. Yeah, I was going to say, I believe he's the only one who's in this set, but eventually in the third set, they did make an Aeron to go with him. Kim, you can come closer. I think he's glued down. It's really cool we started getting some steel Pokemon, too. He looks really cool. He's kind of doing that Salamence thing.
Yeah, he is. He's got some nice grass on the rock there.
Yeah, grass on the rock. You can see there's actually detail going underneath him if you could see through the base, but... we don't really need to mess with him that much. So, another one that's pretty hard to get your hands on, but, oh, he's not glued.
He's not glued, guys.
Actually, since you just did that, I noticed underneath him is clear plastic. You see that? Effort. Like...
For what reason, though?
I don't know. Like, Kyoto ended up making almost all of their figures with a transparent mold just to see if it was ever going to be advantageous to them ever, they would use it. This one's clearly using a transparent mold, and actually I got this from a Lapras fan. So there's a lot of people who will collect specific Pokemon, and that's honestly that could be why you found this video. People want to see up close what these figures look like, because they really want to collect one. They're super rare. They look really nice, and this Lapras is certainly one that a Lapras fan. It was like the prize of the collection. I mean, look at the water splashing. It's doing the Kyogre thing from the last set, except with transparent water dripping down the sides. I mean, when do you see Lapras with that much action?
Yeah, Lapras isn't exactly what I call an action kind of Pokemon.
No, but that looks really cool. You know, it looks really cool. Also, they disguised the wing flipper being attached with water splashing over it. You see that? Mm-hmm. Looks really good. A lot of gloss paint used on it with transparent pieces. That was a really, really hard one to find. Honestly, that Lapras collector was the only person I ever found who had this figure. So, sorry about that, Lapras fans. It's really hard to get your hands on that one, unfortunately.
And that's one of those things. Who doesn't like Lapras? I mean...
So that's one I could clearly see a lot of people collecting Lapras things, you know. Larvitar here, if there's Larvitar fans, he's actually...
not attached to a stand.
No, he's not attached to a stand. Were you testing him there? If you tip down, he's on clear plastic again.
Why?
Just because. And, yeah, that's something only we would know now. So, now that I see that, almost all of them are probably clear plastic at one point. But this Larvitar, at least when I was collecting, was really easy to find. Say, like, I mean, by easy, I mean... as common as the Cacnea and the Elekid now, but I haven't really seen many recently, so he might have gone up a lot more, but...
he's tiny, too.
Yeah, he's a really small one. He's one of those that is like Jigglypuff size. They made a dinky little figure. Oh, these are really cool. Unfortunately, are a lot easier to find. The only problem is a lot of people like these Pokemon, which... quickly makes what little stock exists of them disappear. Though, I have them on their original bases, which is really cool, because they actually had really interesting abilities in the main game. But, in those early starter sets, as I mentioned, you could get, based on your, with the trainer, as we mentioned, the Hariyama, Geodude, we saw those, you would get Latios or Latios with your pack. And, this one here, obviously, Latios. I really like the clear plastic. The only downside, like, the problem I have with this one is I have a Latios that's off of its base. It was kind of bothering me that I didn't have one on a base, and eventually I got one at him and Latios on a base. And,
her and Latios.
Her and Latios, okay.
You said him and Latios.
Whatever. And Latios off of her base really can't stand. It needs to be glued down. It's because it's... I mean, look at how it's
the
balanced.
Shape's really weird.
Yeah, that's the only thing that bothers me about it. But it's still a really cool figure. Plus, with both of them together, I mean, we don't really get nice figures
Space
of,
Rocket.
I would say, semi-obscure Pokemon like this. Kind of forgotten legends, though recently, in the past few months, they've been getting a lot of attention. What with Pokemon Go, and I think they were just released in Sun and Moon events, or Ultra Moon events, but whatever, still. This one's a really cool pose. I'm just like rocketing straight up into the air. Yeah, also don't worry about this one popping off the base. He won't, because this one, like I just mentioned, was released with the starter sets. He also has his icon move, Luster Purge. Very cool. I think it's like a straight on. Really cool. These guys were like iconic in the game, or they would have been had the game happened. Because they had really strange abilities. Like, as soon as they were knocked out, they were like... basically kicked out of the game. They were sort of exiled. And it was for payment for them being way too good. The figures are really good. Now,
Here's the one I was picking on you for.
Back to the crazy rare stuff. Why would Kim ever pick on me for a figure like this, guys? Well, look at the awesome sculpted Muddy Rocket standing on. What are you talking about? That looks so legit. Okay. I made that myself because my Linoon... unfortunately, was only the Pokemon itself. Now, it was one of the only Linoons I ever found. I found him like that, and I thought, I could sculpt, I could, look online at the photos I've seen of this rock, and honestly, if you look at the rock, it's very, very similar to this. I tried to get as close as I could, and I tried to match the color for the rock as best I could, too, but I only got so close. Also, trying to sculpt it so that Linoon still holds himself up properly on it was very tough. Because I didn't want to glue him. You know, it was a challenge. Though, as I mentioned, Linoon's really hard to get your hands on, and if you consider, I have the figure. Yeah, like I was gonna say, this isn't like Kabuto. I have that one. Come on, give me that one. Considering how rare these figures are, I was really trying to count these. Now this is the first of a lot of, I want to say 6 figures that we're gonna see next time that are some of the rarest of Groundbreakers that I have on their bases. And based on that semi-tangent I told you guys earlier about one of the truckers I knew, I, long story short, helped him out with a sale, made him a lot of money for his son, and in exchange, he gave me 6 of the figures from a complete Groundbreaker set, all sealed, everyone had their bases, and I was just, like, blown away. Honestly, I wanted to buy it myself, but I didn't have the money. And honestly, if I did, I could have turned and sold my collection here that you guys are looking at for way more than I bought it for, and way more than I spent for him, but I didn't want to do that to him.
That's not the right thing to do.
He was a nice guy. He was trying to help his son. So, anyway, in the end, it ended up paying up really well for me, and he just gave me 6 of the rarest figures, and the crown jewel of that we will see next time. But Mankey is a very, very rare one. Good luck ever even seeing one, guys. Sorry. He's crazy rare. About as rare, if not rarer, than this guy. Honestly, I would think Mankey's rarer than this guy, because clearly I found one. Metagross. I saw this figure, you know, I was collecting Next Quest, and I told myself that's all it was going to be. And then you start looking at the Groundbreaker figures, and it was like Metagross. And I'm like, he's so cool.
Mewtwo.
Oh my gosh, Mewtwo. No, but the Metagross, look at him in particular. Like, they use so many different kinds of metallic paints to get his color right. The destroyed building rubble below him. He's only
attached by that one part, too.
Yeah, only one part happens to touch. He's floating. You'll never see a Metagross in a pose like that anywhere else. It just looks so cool. So I knew right when I saw him, I was like, dang it, I really want to find one.
And then you're like, but there's only 3, so why not get the last one?
What do you mean?
Set-wise.
Oh. Well, actually, the third set is almost impossible, probably impossible to complete, though I have a complete set of Groundbreakers, so. But anyway, Metagross, crazy hard to find, though, even rarer. Kim, I know you were terrified to pick this one up, but you gotta pick him up. You can do it. He's not attached to his base if you just want to pick him up. Trust me, he's not attached to his base. Okay, you can do that. I mean, he's kind of snug on it. This is a lot of people's crown jewel for their collections. Honestly, one of the most expensive figures I own. You can come closer if you dare. And by that I mean this is a several $100 Mewtwo figure. He's crazy rare, yes, but what's so problematic about him is, aside from the rarity, people want this one. You know, so the supply-demand thing, the supply was already super low. I wouldn't be surprised if there's only like 50 of these things. And everyone who collects these wants one. He's so rare. He's like, even though we're going to get next time to Sabrina, who is kind of known as the rarest of all of the Groundbreakers, people want Mewtwo more. And it's just by demand alone.
It's Mewtwo.
Yeah, that people want the Mewtwo, though gym leaders are crazy ass for it. But we didn't even get, yeah, I know she's scared too, but anyway. The rocks, because now we can kind of talk about the rocks and everything, how they managed to make everything look like he's suspending them in the air. You probably didn't even notice, but his tail on the back doesn't attach to anything other than him. It looks like it touches the base, but it does not. You can kind of spin him back there if you want a little bit, but we won't see it. It does not attach back there, just so we can see that. Really cool. I love that figure. I was so happy that I finally got my hands on a Mewtwo when I did. And finally for today,
oh my gosh, it's only touching with 1 foot.
Yep, he's only touching with 1 foot. This was one of the other released ones. Honestly, of the released ones, he's the hardest to find. It took me forever to find him,
cool.
and his value was up the highest. Yeah, it's because people really like this one. The demand just gets there.
There's a lot of Mighty Enna fans out there.
Yeah, there's actually some Mighty Enna fans out there, and he's really actiony. I mean, he'd probably look really cool doing a spin whirl, which he can go ahead. He's
No, I'm scared.
I was gonna say that one's not as valuable, but he's just hard to find. But anyway, yeah, really cool that they spent so much time sculpting him. I'm really glad I got him on his proper sticker base too. Looks really cool. But with that, that is our first chunk of Groundbreakers, and there were some really cool gems in here, a lot of really rare ones, so sorry for those of you Mewtwo or Metagross collectors.
Or just about any Pokemon in this set right
or
here.
obscure ones like, I collect Mankey stuff. No one's, like, oh, there's a Mankey figure in here, it looks pretty nice. No one ever makes nice Mankey figures. Sorry. This is like utter disappointment. At the very least, you could see it up close, and we can talk about it and kind of spin them around for you guys. Let you take a good look. But either way, like I mentioned, this is only the first half of Groundbreakers. The second half of it, including the promos, we are going to be showcasing next week in the next video of Pokemon Collection. So that is all the time we have for now. Thank you guys so much for joining us. Remember to like the videos and subscribe for more, and we will see you all in the next Pokemon Collection video.
Bye.